Hello and welcome to the Go Fight Win Novice Debate series. My name is Callie Chappelle and I wanted to show you around a politics file today. So our last video we were talking about what the Politics Day was all about and kind of the big ideas. And I think one part about the Politics Day that makes it a little bit confusing is the fact that it's very, very organized. So instead of our normal PowerPoint lecture, I actually wanted to walk you through an actual politics file. So this is a politics file that was put out last year for the college topic for the Wake Forest tournament. So I wanted to just walk you through kind of what our politics file looks like. So when you're putting together your own politics file or you're working through your own, then you have an idea about how you want to organize it. So at the top, whoever cuts the file usually puts some notes at the top. And if you're like me, I was the varsity person who caught all the politics updates. So I was the person who had to send out the politics file for the entire team. So what I like to do is write some little notes up here about kind of what's currently going on and any tricks about the DA. Okay, so here at the top of the file, you always want to put the 1NC, okay? So let's look at the parts of the 1NC. So Obama's investing capital to delay a new Senate sanctions bill on Iran until after November 28th to hold off the vote for now. So Obama is using PC as key. This is what this means. He's investing capital, political capital, to delay a new Senate sanctions. So currently sanctions are not passing. But political capital is key, right? Use sanctions in advance of negotiations will wreck Rouhani's ability to negotiate and collapse the deal. Okay, and then here's the next argument. Presidential war power, so that was the topic last year, expends capital to media and forces trade-off and prioritization. So this is the link, right? So the plan is makes Obama spend capital because it forces a trade-off. And then plans a perceived loss cause Obama's allies to defect. That means that obviously he loses political capital. And then a limited deal is good because it prevents Iranian weaponization. So the main argument is the Iran deal is passing now, but because of Obama has the political capital, but obviously the plan, presidential war powers, are very unpopular, which derails the deal, and that's bad because that causes Iranian weaponization and ultimately an Israeli strike. Okay, so that is the first part, right? So that's going to be the 1NC. Then we have to have, obviously, all the parts that we talked about, the uniqueness, link, and impact, as well as link uniqueness regarding political capital, if it's a political capital link. The next part is going to be this 2NC impact overview, right? So we talked about the impact. You need to have an impact overview, just like when we talked about on the, introduction to DA's video, the different parts. So here's just an impact overview, right? So this is a quick explanation, right, of the DA. Deal slows down Iranian nuclear acquisition and creates a framework for a more comprehensive deal, right? So this is an explanation. Iranian proliferation caused a nuclear arms race and sets an Israel first strike. That's Stevens. That triggers World War III because great powers are drawn in, which stops oil shipments, which collapses the global economy, and other countries to challenge U.S. hedge, which collapses hedge. That's the Rubin evidence, right? And then turns case. So what I like to do on my impact overviews is I'll have an explanation, right, of the DA. And then also one thing that I didn't include here, but you probably should, is some impact calc, right? So magnitude, probability, time frame. Well, obviously it's best to do that in the actual debate, right? So you can tailor it to the app advantages, but I always like to write it now, looking back, about just kind of generically, so I can, at least I have something if I don't have enough time to prep it before the debate or before that particular speech. Next, you want to read any kind of tricks, right? So here's a turns case argument. So here's a circumvention arg. That just means that the app won't happen if the politics DA occurs, right? So that's pretty smart. And then what else do I have? Oh, uniqueness counter plan. Now this is a little bit complicated. We won't talk about it, but if I make a more advanced video on the Politics Day, I'll make sure to include this. So you can just ignore this for now. Then what I like to do after writing my overview, which I like to put right after the 1NC, is some turns, right? So turns credibility and alliance, turns hegemony, turns terrorism. Last year on the presidential war powers topic, those were the pretty big impacts that almost every AF team read. Obviously on the oceans topic, that's going to be different, right? So you'd want arguments about why it turns the ocean ecology, the environment, why it turns warming, etc. These are kind of the common app advantages for the oceans topic, okay? So now we see first my overview, then we have turns case, because obviously if you were doing this in the 2NC, or you can just substitute 2NC for 1NR if you're going to be extending politics in the 1NR, is the very top of when you're extending politics is going to be the impact overview, then turns case, and then you're going to do your line by line in the order of the 2AC. So that's why I always put this at the top, and then the rest of this is organized like this, right? So links and internal links. So there are two different blocks that you need to have on the link debate. First is the actual link, right? So you're going to have a quick explanation explanation or extension of the 1NC link evidence, right? So plan cause war powers fighting Congress, that weakens Obama's ability in foreign affairs, blah, blah, blah. PC is key. And then you're going to want to have a block with some other cards, right? So here's another card, Kreiner. And then one thing that we have in Michigan is we always have a separate link file. So you're going to see that there's not like huge amounts of links to all the different types of asks, because we actually have a separate file for that. So I'd highly recommend doing that too, because oftentimes you're going to have a lot of links anyway to all the specific asks, and it's make sure your politics file a little bit clunky if it's just in that file. It's sometimes easier just to have it separate. So you want to have your link block. The reason why this is so short is obviously in the actual debate, you're going to want to insert more links that are specific to the plan. Next, PC key, right? So here you can extend the 1NC PC key card, and then you're going to want more cards, political capitals key. Now this is important, obviously your cards are new. And then another thing that you're going to want to do in the actual debate is put in analytics about why your cards are better than their cards. So whether it be credibility, or usually it's going to be whoever has the most post-dated evidence. Because the politics DA is so dependent on current events, it's very important that you have the most up-to-date evidence. Really, a good rule of thumb is don't read politics evidence that's older than 1 week on the uniqueness and internal link questions. Okay, then here's uniqueness. Oh, I made a little note that I need to highlight this. So, oops, on the actual prep file it should be highlighted, but here's the will pass wall, right? So this is just going to be, you can also call this the uniqueness. Oops, I don't know why my thing's on capital. The uniqueness wall. And that's an explanation of the 1NC uniqueness cards, as well as more uniqueness cards here, okay? So that's pretty easy. And then answers to thumpers, okay? So we haven't talked about what thumpers are, but if you go and watch the next video, I'm going to talk about it. And then here's the impact file, right? So Brink card, collapses negotiations, and then some answers to like common AF args, right? And then deal solved, etc. Okay, so at the bottom we're gonna have an AF section. So we just went through the neg section. It was kind of quick, but I just wanted you to be familiar with how it's gonna go. So actually, let's have a little practice here. So let's say that we have a 2AC that makes the following args. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this right up here. So let's say the 2AC happens and blah blah blah. I'm flowing. The first argument is no link. Plan is popular. Okay, let's say the next argument is no uniqueness. Iran will never pass. Let's say the next argument is no impact to Middle East war. And then the last argument they make is, I don't know, the intrinsic perm. And then actually no, because you haven't seen the intrinsic perm. We're not going to put that in there. Let's say the last argument is, I don't know, Obama has no political capital. Okay, so let's say we were going to make a 2NC to this, right? So obviously, what do we talk about? First, we're going to make our speech. So 2NC, demo politics. Great. And then we have our 2NC all ready to go. Oh, it's going to ask me where I want to save it. I'm just going to save it on my desktop. There we go. Okay, and then, so, what do you put at the top of a 2NC or a 1NR on politics? Well, if you remember, the impact overview, right? So here's my impact overview. I'm going to send that over there. And then let's say they have two advantages. They have a credibility alliance advantage, and then they have a hedge advantage. Perfect. Okay, so what was the first? Okay, so once we have the impact overview out of the way, then we go in the order of the 2ACs. So the first argument is no link, plan is popular. Okay, well, pretty easy. I'm just going to put my link block here. Send that over, right? And now what I'm doing is I'm actually hitting the tilde key. You can't see it here. That's sending everything over there. So, right, so the first thing that I did was send over the impact overview. Then I sent over Turn's case for their two advantages. Now their first line-by-line argument was the link block. Okay, so now let's see. What was the second argument made in the 2AC? And obviously, you should be looking at your flow. You'd have this on your flow, so it'd be easy for you to send these over actually as the 2AC is happening. Next argument is no uniqueness. Iran will never pass. Oh, well, that's easy. I'm just going to go to my 2NC uniqueness wall, which should be highlighted. Wink, wink. Okay, I just hit the tilde key, and look. There it is. Perfect. What's the next arg? The next arg is no impact to Middle East war. Oh, well, first that argument was already on the overview. So what I would do on my flow is just put a little X here and just say cross apply impact to overview. We have a better impact. And then I'd want to look at their particular card and make some indites about why their card is really terrible. And finally, the last argument is Obama has no political capital. Well, PC's key. Perfect. So I'm just going to hit the tilde key and send that right over. So look, we have a 2NC to politics. Now, what I want to do, if this is an actual speech doc, is I'd write politics here. So it's really easy for me to go find, because obviously I'm going to be extending something on the 2NC more than just politics. In the 1NR, you might just extend politics, right? So you have everything all ready to go. You have all the parts in there, exactly what you need. Now, wait a minute. Let's take a look here. So what if the 2AC didn't make this no link plan as popular? So they just don't talk about the link. Well, do I need to pull a link block? Well, yeah, you do, because just because the other team drops it doesn't mean that you drop it too. That's the number one problem that novices have with DAs when they're first starting to learn, and even JV debaters. So what do I do? Where do I put it if they just drop one part of the DA? Well, you can just put it wherever you want. Obviously, I like to put it at the top because you don't really need to be doing that much analysis. So if this was a 2NC for a debate where they just drop the link, right, I don't even need to read this card. So what I'll do is I'll like blah, 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 extend my impact overview. And then the first argument, the next argument, the 2NC should be like, they dropped the link. They've conceded the plan caused the war powers fight in Congress, which collapses political capital. That's the Loomis evidence and the O'Neill evidence. Don't let them make new 1AR arguments because they've really messed up in the 2AC. We base our block decisions based on 2AC arguments, means that they new 1AR arguments are not justified, and then move on, right? Because they conceded that part, so they can't bring it up again. That's what I just said, right? So then you just do the rest of this, but you wouldn't need to read your entire link block against the AF because obviously they dropped that part of the debate. So I hope this was helpful. The next part that I wanted to talk about quickly was the AF section. So in this file, there's just general, like, Obama doesn't have PC right now, and then there's some cards for the 1AR if you want to read that in the 1AR. Here's another thumper. Okay, and then there's 2ACs to various other DAs, which obviously you'd have to research, and the next video is going to be AF arguments against politics. Anyway, but I just wanted to let you be familiar with kind of the structure of like a good politics day. This file is actually a little bit short. Usually they're quite a bit longer than this, and just so you know kind of how you should be organizing as you're prepping and how you'd make a good politics DA speech doc. Great, so I hope this was helpful, and tune in for video number 3.